My name is Illugi Gunnarsson, and I'm very glad to have this opportunity to talk about and learn about performing arts and its development, exhibitions and conventions in the Greater Bay Area.
Hi Illugi, I'm Danielle. Very nice to meet you here. And I hope the information I'm going to share later with you will help you to understand more about Greater Bay Area.
Thank you very much, Daniela, and I look forward. Now, my first question has to do with tradition. You see, I come from a country that was for such a long time relatively poor and isolated. So the history of performing art is not that long in my country. It's probably around 100 years or so. So my first question is about the history of performing art. How deeply rooted?
Well, the performing art in China actually have more than 1,000 years histories, because we back in different dynasties that we all watch Chinese operas and all different performing arts back then. Actually, till now, it's becoming more international, and we have all the international stage drama, the musicals, concerts, and so on, different kind of performing arts.
Yes, this is a bit different from our history. We imported to my country performing art mainly from our colonial masters, so we don't have this rich and long experience as you have in China. But what about the Greater Bay Area? Is it the same or is it a different history than from the rest of China, or is it just similar?
It is the same, because in China we do have different kind of Chinese opera as well. We have varieties of them from different districts. Of course, for Guangdong area as well, we do have the yukou, which is a form of Chinese opera, and we do enjoy performing arts in bigger exhibition center, in the bigger theaters. Also, we have it in our community as well. It is a culture, a very famous culture in China, that our older generation people, they will dance on the street, they will enjoy the music and do all the dancing exercise. I believe it's very well known globally.
Well, this brings me to my second point, which is the accessibility and how the general public enjoys performing art. So you would say that it is a general thing, that people in general are enjoying performing art?
They are very much enjoying, both in a very formal style and also in their very casual lifestyle. The performing arts are all integrated in their lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. And there is no difference between the age groups. I mean, this is not... this is being carried over to the younger generations.
Oh, of course, there is age difference for different, like they prefer different kind of performing arts. Like, for example, for concert, normally all the students and younger people, they really like to go to concert around maybe age 15 to age 30. And for stage drama and musical, they also have a very young audience, maybe from age 20 to 50. That's actually the most popular form of performing arts in China and also in Greater Bay Area right now. And also maybe for opera, they have all those people who really into music. They will love opera. And for Chinese opera, it's more for elderly people, maybe above 40.
Yeah, we see the same here, for example, in Iceland. There is a difference in the age groups. But because you mentioned a Chinese opera, for example, for us many in the West, it is a bit difficult art form for us to enjoy, because we lack the cultural background in be able to understand and really appreciate. So it takes time for us, and we need to look at it in a greater context, so to speak, in order to enjoy it. But so if I was a foreigner living in, for example, Shenzhen and Dongguan, and I wanted to, firstly, I wanted to be able to go for the Chinese opera, and I wanted to learn to experience, what advice would you give me? I mean, how should I learn to appreciate this art form?
Well, actually, first of all, I think because all the performing arts are very accessible in all areas in China, and there's always a English website for you to purchasing your tickets and decide what shows you wanted to go to, and inside the theater or inside the center, like all the stages are supplied with a screen or a LED light display that they all display different languages for translations. So I think it's very easy for a foreigner to enjoy performing art in China as well.
So okay, that's very interesting because I was thinking that if one was living on the mainland in China, the accessibility for a Westerner who is non-Chinese speaking to be able to enjoy, for example, the Chinese opera. I kind of was wondering how that would play out, but that's actually a big step if one is able to follow the plot and the history on the screen and understand what is happening.
Yes, because China are becoming more international, and a majority of the show, I think they can supply with you the English translation of the brochure that you can easily get access of. So I think it's relatively easy. It's not that difficult, especially Greater Bay Area is becoming the most international area in China.
Mm. So, but what about stage drama? What about that art form? I mean, is that also very common?
It's very common, and it's becoming very popular because the stage drama, that kind of performing art is integrating with the TV drama as well. Like we have a lot of different artists who can perform in both. So the younger kids are very into stage drama right now because they can chase after their favorite stars and artists.
Would there be, for example, what about international companies? Would they be performing in the Greater Bay Area, or how's that?
Of course. We don't need to mention Hong Kong because Hong Kong is the international, like the culture center that all the global level artists, they came to Hong Kong for performing. Also in Guangzhou and Shenzhen, for example, for the Guangzhou Opera House, we do have some international show like Cats and Phantom of the Opera. They came a couple years ago to perform as well. And also for the opera like Turandot back in 2010. And the Vienna choirs, or Vienna Boys Choir also came. So they are all the famous names. They came to Guangzhou to perform. And we do believe Guangzhou will be the next culture center after Shanghai, because for all the stage drama, they have all the facilities like that you need to use to build up the background. The materials are normally shipped in the ocean, right? So Guangzhou have also the biggest port. So they normally can, right now they're doing it as using Shanghai as the key port, transport all the materials right now, the stage materials. But later, I think Guangzhou will become another center for it.
Well, this is interesting. My particular taste is very much classical music. So I wanted to have one question on classical music. It's that so you would get, for example, when it comes to famous soloists or famous orchestras, do they frequently visit the Greater Bay Area? I know they go to Hong Kong, but what about the mainland China Greater Bay Area?
Right now, of course, Hong Kong would be the number one place they would love to visit first. And then the second place, I think it's in Shanghai. I think the third place maybe is already in Beijing or Guangzhou. For example, the Budapest Symphony Orchestra, they came at 2015.
Excellent. Well, my last question here on performing art would be, I mean, what, in your opinion, what would be the area within the performing art that you would say that is the most outstanding within the Greater Bay Area, that would be the cultural strength of the Greater Bay Area?
I think it would be stage drama and musicals. I think right now they are doing a lot of different new production in different provinces about each cities and each province story. So I think in that specific performing art type, I think it's more representative for Greater Bay Area's culture.
Now, Danille, I wanted now to discuss a bit about exhibitions and art exhibitions. Are there many galleries, either privately or publicly run, that regularly have open exhibitions for Chinese or international artists?
Yes, in Greater Bay Area, there's a lot of Chinese and international galleries. For example, all the international galleries located in Hong Kong. I think it is very famous that we have a Pedder building in Central that is full of the world's most well-known galleries there. And we currently also have another building called H Code. H Code, yes, which is also designed for all the different international galleries as well. For Guangzhou, there's some very developed Chinese galleries. One of them is very famous called Vitamin, but they maybe consign majority only on Chinese artists for right now. Yes.
And you would say that there's a great public interest in galleries. I mean, do people frequently visit the galleries to look at the exhibitions?
Yes, I do think there's a very strong public interest in galleries. We got the data from 2020. I think China has surpassed the United States and also United Kingdom to become the biggest buyers for modern art and contemporary art.
That's very important. But another important part of the art market is the role of critics. That there is a, let's say, theoretical or a professional debate on art in the public. So to guide the public, so to speak, about the quality of art and the artwork. What about the public debate and the role of critics in public debate about art?
I think in China, the critics function slightly differently because as the self-media is very popular in China, so people will do all kind of critics by themselves and post it on different blogs and different WeChat community to discuss about the art piece.
So it's more like just an open debate about art run by the general public. Well, that's very interesting, actually.
Yes, but in Hong Kong, it's more like the international way. They have the professional. They will do the regular media on what do they think about the art piece.
Well, this brings me to my final question on art and exhibitions, which is, would you describe the art scene as progressive in the Greater Bay Area? And here I'm talking about mainland China more than Hong Kong. As progressive or more traditional?
Oh, it's definitely more progressive.
Let's say a foreigner living in Shenzhen or Dongguan or any of, again, these cities, they would experience a forward-looking art scene.
Definitely, because Hong Kong is already the international art center, and we are building up the high-speed railway and also the Hong Kong, Zhuhai, and Macau Bridge. They can easily travel to Hong Kong to all the exhibition or all the gallery they wanted to. It's like within an hour travel time.
So maybe just one final question here, which is the influence of Hong Kong into the Greater Bay Area. Do you think that the influence of the art scene in Hong Kong will affect now more what is happening in the Greater Bay Area in mainland China, or vice versa? Will we get more influence from the Greater Bay Area into Hong Kong? What's your opinion?
I think Hong Kong will definitely play a leading role in the art industry. So Hong Kong will definitely bring in a lot of international artists to Greater Bay Area. But also, I think in Greater Bay Area, there's a lot of buying powers who can also join in the art scenes.
Danille, I think we now turn to more, let's say, the business side of things in terms of exhibitions. And I wanted to understand a bit about how big is or important, to be more precise, is the exhibition culture for business in the Greater Bay Area?
I think Greater Bay Area plays a very important role in China on conventions and exhibitions. No need to mention Hong Kong again, which is also a very international exhibition and convention centers of the world. Also in the Guangdong, who also ranking the second all over the China provinces as the second biggest convention area in China.
So let's say if I had a foreign company and I wanted to do business in the Greater Bay Area, do you think that it is important for me to participate in the exhibitions, the trade exhibitions that are run in the Greater Bay Area?
Oh, definitely. I think it is very important to come here by yourself and see how it has become and what kind of other competition that you have. And also you need to come and meet the customer in person. Although the pandemic has changed the whole world a lot, that internet is becoming a very convenience communication tool. But I think it is still important for you to present your own product in front of like physically and in front of the people, so they would understand it more and they get the vibe and they get to know the true characters of it.
Well, I believe you. I think that even though Zoom or WeChat or whatever we have technology, it will never replace the importance of just being there and meeting up face to face. But how to choose these conventions? Because I mean, they are many. So how do let's say again a foreign company that wants to do business, how do they choose between conventions or between exhibitions? How to choose? I mean, how do you avoid the bad ones and choose the good ones?
Of course, there's a lot of prior research that you need to conduct. That actually all the convention details, they are all online and all in English. That you can easily access of the different information. But I think the most easy way and maybe the smart way is maybe you find an advisory company in Hong Kong. And they can lead you through the whole process of registering you, of choosing the most effective and the best quality convention for you to join, and they can walk you through with all the progress.
And is it expensive to participate? For example, let's say a trade exhibition, a normal trade exhibition. Are the fees high or are the costs involved very high?
I think it's not very high when comparing to the Greater Bay Area and comparing with Hong Kong. I think all the price is slightly lower than Hong Kong, and I think Hong Kong represents the international standard of the pricing, so which I would assume is slightly cheaper than the international charging fees.
Well, let's discuss a bit about the conventions more specifically. So again, the same question I asked about the exhibition: is it a big market for conventions in the Greater Bay Area?
Yes, it is a very big market. Guangdong province is already the second biggest convention center by itself. But adding back Hong Kong and Macau, it will definitely be the biggest place in China.
So you would see, for example, in the Greater Bay Area, foreign companies or firms or organizations hosting conventions in the Greater Bay Area.
Yes, as there's already are some international brands who came to Greater Bay Area to have the exhibition. Like I think majority automobile, raw materials like the ceramic from Germany, and some medical and furniture exhibitions.
So Danille, I'm thinking here about the infrastructure that is needed for a successful convention. Both let's say, the software and the hardware. So what about access to interpreters, the multimedia facilities, and the locations themselves, like the hotels? So what is your opinion on the status or the quality of the infrastructure?
Oh, I think both on the hardware and software for the conventions, they're at a world qualities. Like for example, for hardware infrastructure. Let's take Hong Kong as example first. We have Hong Kong Convention Centers, we have the World Expos, we have the Kowloon Bay International Trade and Exhibition Centers. They're all world-level exhibition centers. And also for Shenzhen, there is the Shenzhen Convention and Exhibition Centers, which is also a world-class exhibition center too. In Guangzhou, we know the most famous Canton Fair. The Canton Fair is hosted in the Guangzhou Exhibition Centers, which is also a world-class exhibition center. So the hardware is basically just already, everything is there and already in use. For the software, I think all the international exhibitions are planned very well. The software are easily accessible, like the interpreter. Basically, when the moment that you get off your plane, that you can have all these people that you can find in the airport already.
Yeah. Well, just to conclude, I mean, let's assume that I wanted to choose a city within the Greater Bay Area, and then excluding Macau and Hong Kong. I wanted to choose a city to have a convention. Which city would be the strongest in terms of these facilities and reputation for being a good city for convention?
I would think Shenzhen and Guangzhou are the strongest in the cities. They are very strong.
Well, Danille, this has been very informative for me, and thank you very much for our discussion. It was great to meet you.
Thank you, Illugi.